Hi, I'm Mark with Everything Summer Camp. If you already own a Footlocker, today I'm going to show you how to install a lid skin on it. If you own a C&N Footlocker that's more than 3 years old, there's a few things you're going to want to check first. Number one, make sure that it is a C&N Footlocker brand Footlocker. Next, check to make sure that the hardware on the top of your Footlocker is attached with screws. And finally, you want to make sure that the top of your Footlocker is about 32 inches long and about 18 inches wide. When your lid skin arrives, open up the package. What you'll find inside is the lid skin itself, a set of hardware that contains replacement screws along with a thumbtack, and our set of instructions. So let's get started. You're going to need either a Phillips screwdriver or a cordless drill. I recommend the cordless drill. It'll make this whole process go a lot faster. First, you'll need to remove the 4 corner protectors from the Footlocker. Each corner protector is attached with 3 screws. With the screws removed, take the corner protectors off of the Footlocker and just set those off to the side. Next, we're going to remove 2 screws from each of the 6 clamps that are on the top of the Footlocker. Now that you've removed the screws from the clamps, you can start to remove the clamps from the Footlocker. You can also start to remove these metal edge pieces. Odds are some of these pieces were already falling off as you were unscrewing the clamps. You can just remove those and set those to the side. We're going to be reinstalling all this hardware after we get the lid skin put on. Now, a little word of caution here. You've removed all of this trim, and what you've done is you've exposed some very, very sharp metal edges. So be really careful as you're going through the rest of this process to avoid cutting yourself on these edges. Also, around the screw holes can be a little bit sharp too. So you want to be really careful of that as you complete the rest of this. Next, you want to take a soapy wet rag or a paper towel. You're going to want to thoroughly clean off the top of your Footlocker. Chances are that as you were removing hardware, you left some little metal shavings on the top. You want to make sure that you get all of those off. So clean that real good. If you have any old stickers on there, you're going to want to remove those stickers. Get as much off as you possibly can so that your lid skin looks good when it's finally installed. And then next, before we install the lid skin, the top has to be perfectly dry, so I would suggest drying it off with a rag and then probably let it air dry for 2 or 3 minutes just to be safe. Now it's time to install your lid skin. You want to unroll it, lay it on the top of your Footlocker. Once again, be careful for those sharp edges. Now, it's not going to end up being perfectly aligned in every corner. There's a little bit of play in these. And so you want to center it. You want to check to make sure that it's perfectly centered in all directions. And once you have it centered, take a small piece of transparent tape or a light masking tape. Put a piece of tape on the side of the Footlocker and on the lid skin. Do the same thing straight across. So now that your 2 pieces of tape are in place, go to one end of the Footlocker and you're going to start to remove the paper backing from the lid skin. Peel back 3 or 4 inches. You don't want to do too much at first. You're going to want to put a little crease in there so that it lays flat. gently tug those corners towards the corner of the footlocker top. Just using your fingers, smooth out the lid skin. And you're going to want to reach underneath and just pull back a little bit more of that backing. You want to go 2 or 3 inches at a time and just continue to smooth out the lid skin with your hand. Now, as you're doing this, maybe you missed a little piece of dirt or a little metal shaving that was on the top of your footlocker. You're going to feel that as you're smoothing it out. So let's say that as you're smoothing it out, you feel something underneath. All you need to do is just gently peel it back just far enough to get at whatever is underneath. Get that removed. It's probably, at this point, it's probably stuck on the bottom of the lid skin. So just remove that debris and go back to smoothing it out. You can see our tape is pulling up here. That's going to happen as you continue to make your way across the top of the footlocker. You're also probably at some point going to get some air bubbles in here. What you want to do if you get an air bubble is you just want to take your finger and start to push that air bubble towards the unapplied side of the lid skin, and eventually it should work itself out. If you were to find an air bubble all the way back here, really your best way to solve that problem is to just slowly peel the lid skin back up until you work your way back to that air bubble, and then start smoothing it back out again. As you're completing this, if you end up seeing any air bubbles and you're hesitant to go back and peel the lid skin up, what you can always do at the end of the entire process is just get a real small needle and poke a hole in the center of the air bubble, and then use your finger to push the air towards the hole that you created. As long as you use a fine enough needle, you won't even notice the hole. I guess one more thing that I should mention is you are going to have some small air bubbles. Remember, you removed those screws that were in the corner protectors and the clamps, so there's little holes there and they're kind of poking up a little bit. You're probably going to end up with some little air bubbles around those areas, and don't worry about getting rid of those right now. We'll come back and address those at the end of the process. So remember I said that you'd end up with a few small air bubbles, and those are caused by the screw holes from the hardware that we removed in the early stages, and we're going to go ahead and address those now. There's a thumbtack that came along with your hardware kit with the lid skin, and so we'll have to work our way around the outer edges of the footlocker. Here's a hole that's causing an air bubble. This is a hole from our corner protector, and if you just press on it with a thumbtack, you'll feel a soft spot where the hole is, and then you can put that thumbtack down in there, and you can smooth out that air bubble a little bit. There'll still be a little bit of air in there, but that'll go away as we start to install the hardware again. So we're just going to work our way around the footlocker. Now, sometimes you're not going to find that screw hole right away, and you're going to poke a couple of little extra holes in there, but that's fine because those will all get covered up by hardware later on. Okay, it's time to start putting this footlocker back together. Start by putting these metal edge pieces back in place. Odds are you'll get them to balance there, but I think it's a lot easier to just use a piece of tape to hold them in place temporarily. So with all your edge pieces back in place, it's time to start reinstalling the hardware now. It's best to start with the corner protectors. You'll find that as you start to reattach some of this hardware. And you start to get the screw tightened on there. You may have some air bubbles get created in the lid skin, and what you can do there is just loosen up that screw a little bit, push those air bubbles down. You're going to try to push them back towards the piece of hardware, in this case the corner protector. So you're going to push those air bubbles back in there and then just retighten it. You might have to do that 1 or 2 times, but in the end it should come out okay. So remember, you have 3 screws into each corner protector. Now with all 4 of the corner protectors reattached to your footlocker, let's start to get these clamps reattached. Once again, as you're reinstalling these, you may see some air bubbles getting created. If that's the case, just back that screw out a little bit, push the air bubble back towards the clamp, and then retighten it. So you're all set. Your lid skin's applied, your hardware's reattached, and you're ready to go. You have a lid skin that's going to last for years. These things are really durable. We use a gymnasium style laminate, so you can walk on it, jump on it. This thing's not going anywhere. It's a lot more durable than paint. Another nice thing is that we make the Footlockers in-house and the lid skins in-house. If you order both at the same time, we apply the lid skin for you. There's no messing around with multiple companies and multiple shipping charges. We ship really fast, a couple of days. They'll be out the door to you. You can go online. We have a design tool so that you can build your lid skin. You can see exactly what you're getting before you place your order. So jump online right